just us changing the world. I love that.
And then you temper yourself to what might be palatable and acceptable for most people.
Welcome. I'm Tina O. Some of you may have followed me on 50 Nights with Tina O, a bunch of 50 Nights of storytelling. Some of you may have seen my show, Oh My God. Others of you haven't seen any of it, and you're like, who is this woman and where am I? Well, welcome to my storytelling listening studio. We're sitting at my desk in front of my little electric fireplace by my favorite lamp, and it is summer right now. You're going to hear boats going by because I'm right on the ocean. You're going to hear ravens in the sky, and you're going to meet some of my favorite people who are out there living from their core on the story that is the call on their life. I'm glad you're here. Let's jump in and listen to these wonderful people and see what we can learn about what it's like to get closer to the core of who we are and live on that impulse. Thanks for being here. Let's go. Charlene SanJenko is an Indigenous founder and impact media producer of Powerhouse Impact Media Group. Charlene is a bridge between two cultures. She offers to us that every human deserves the opportunity to access what they need to experience fully the realization of ultimate potential of the gift that is her life. Join me, Tina Overbury, as I connect with one of my dearest friends, Charlene SanJenko. Let's have a listen. One of my favorite bits about this whole interview conversation that I had with Charlene is that she's literally sitting in an empty space. It is a brand new space that is soon to be filled with the Impact Media Studio, gear, GAC, people, thoughts, creatives, all the things that go into Impact Media, soon to be filled by all of that. But right now, it's just an echoey space of possibility, just like a visionary who sees possibility but is often the only one hearing that echo. I'm always happy to sit down and listen to a visionary, you specifically. So I'm super grateful to have this time to lean into some of the bigger questions that are unfolding for you into wisdom and answers and more questions. And I just want to thank you for being with me today and taking some time to check in and dive in. So thanks for being here, Char.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. It's like the wiser we get, the more answers, the more questions we have. The wiser we get, the more questions we have. Yeah.
Feels like a really good segue into actually my first question for you, because you're a visionary. And I don't think I actually knew what a visionary is, because I don't think I've had visionaries in my life before. And so getting to know you and experience you has taught me a lot about kind of what that looks like and like all the things that kind of come with it. And you've said this thing right from the beginning, which is, I see you, or we see you, from a powerhouse lens. We see you. We see all of you. And I wonder if you can just share with me a little bit about what it's like to be a visionary and a little bit about what that means to you.
Well, it's both a really fun and a really frustrating place. Like, it's super fun and it's frustrating. And to be I think as a visionary, you see nothing but possibility. That's the first thing you say. Maybe I won't say you see nothing but you primarily see possibility, and you immediately jump to full potential of any situation or human being or opportunity. You jump right to 100%, and then you gauge your conversations and your actions, and you gauge that based on how prepared you think the other person or the other party is, but you don't naturally go to match their readiness. You, as a visionary, you jump to full possibility, full potential.
And of course, I've been on the receiving end of your visionary piece. And so from my side, I want to share that, sometimes it is like the most exquisite invitation. And, has what's come up for us in Powerhouse is the conversation of being seen and what that does to a person. Like that knowing that you're seen, it's like the permission slips just fall from the sky of you mean I can? Like you see that in me? And so there's like so much there. So I've been on that side of the visionary piece. And that alone has catapulted me forward in many places. And I've also been on, I don't know if this is like a Gen X thing or if this is just growing up in a big family thing, but I've also experienced that, don't you tell me who you think I am. Don't you tell me who I am. I've felt that on the inside sometimes too. And even in that, the don't you tell me always, for me, but I know I'm a curious person, moves me usually about 3 days later into what if she's right? Or what if she's wrong? What if we're both right? What if we're both wrong? And because that's just me, right? Like I'll do that. And I'm curious for you in the work that you do, because we're going to get into impact media. Like right now we're talking about me or as an individual, but you do the same thing with possibility and potential around this conversation of impact media, and what you've discovered lights up for you, and what when you hit push back. And I'm gonna ask you about impact media in a minute, but I want to speak more about the visionary piece around projects rather than people.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think like what you mentioned about the pushback, like don't you tell me who you think I am. I love that. Like I love that. That's the invitation. That's like the healthy conflict. Like that's the healthy, because it's like, okay, then show me, right? Like, so it's kind of that baiting, baiting someone or something on. Show me differently, like let's play, let's go, like let's play. And as long as I have sparked something, my job is done, right? Like as long as I've awoken it up in any way that I need to. I mean, I can tickle at it, I can push, I can, but as long as if I push a button and it causes pushback, great, because then I know you're alive.
Is there a pulse? Is there a pulse? Ah, she gasped. She's alive, or it's alive. The project's alive.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we're starting in Powerhouse. We've had a number of conversations as of late in the nonprofit sector. And, there's change making or an opening for change potentially in that arena. And there's going to be pushback. And yet you're right. It's like in pushback, there is awakening. Let's jump into impact media, because you've been working in media, right, as an impact champion for the last decade or more. And again, as a visionary, it's like, what that is. You've known what that is for years. You're waiting for the rest of us to go, oh, that's what that is. I wonder if you can help us understand what impact media means. And then, because I'm a core story person, like, do you think impact media chose you? Like it's in your core, the story of who you are, or that you chose it?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'll start with the easier question than the last one. But for every sensory experience that we have, right? Because that's what we have as humans. We're always taking in messages. So for every experience that we have, it's either going to bring us up or it's going to bring us down. It's either going to bring us closer to who we really are or distract us away from it. And I can put that in a really tangible form. You're either going to listen to a song and it's going to light you right up, or it's going to dull you down. It's going to pull you down. And I'm not necessarily talking about emotions, but it certainly is a part of it. You're going to watch a movie. It's going to either bring you up and elevate your experience of what it means to be a human being and more fully awake that experience in you, or it's going to dull the experience. And you're going to see so much in this movie that's going to start to feel normal that so shouldn't feel normal. It's over, it's over centralized almost. It's like, okay, I just watched 5 people being shot in about 5 seconds. I'm kind of feel like I'm getting dulled to that now. Is that taking me closer to the human being I want to be, or is that taking me further away? Right? And so media is this, I believe media is the most powerful influencer on who we want to be as a society. It might be a short clip. It might be scrolling through social media feeds and you have no idea how much you're subconsciously taking in the messaging. Is it bringing you up? Is it bringing you down? Is it bringing you closer to all of who you're here to be? Or is it distracting you from the pure essence of who you are? I don't think there's anything more powerful. So impact media production is like, okay, if this is the most powerful tool out there to lift society, if it is, I want to be a part of it. Impact media is deliberately and intentionally working in media in a way that chooses to lift society, one project at a time, one experience at a time, one creative endeavor at a time, one impact champion, one story. Yeah.
I think you just hit on the word that I'm really lit up about, especially when I think about you, which is impact champion, right? Like if we know that media is going to impact us either way, and I'm hearing you say that impact media is about bringing us closer to our human experience, or like above the waterline, or towards all that we, like closer to all we can be, or furthering our potential and greater good and all of that. And so I hear that, and then I love this term impact champion, because an impact champion does that. It's like whatever story they're telling, if I'm hearing you right, you're an impact champion, rather than say, the impact heckler, right? In a crowd. It's like, if you're an impact champion is not the same as an impact coach, is not the same as an impact audience member or an impact heckler, right? An impact champion says, I'm going to make an impact here, and I'm going to champion that impact for the greater good, for the world. So I want to circle into that, because I don't think I've ever really got that before, which again might be just, sometimes I think that's just, colonized thinking, where a champion is the person in front, the champion is the leader, the champion is but there's actually a quality to what a champion is that makes him not a heckler.
Well, and the cool thing about a champion is you can do impact. You can create impact, have impactful solutions for years and years and operate under the radar and be doing a world of good. And you are certainly a champion. However, most folks that end up finding me or choosing to work with me is because they have come to realize that the impact they're here to make can be exponentially amplified as they get brave enough to let others see them, for the reason that we just talked about through media. So you can either do good, or you can do good and amplify good so others see it and are influenced by it and see that it's possible and it is in their attention and intention, and they're like, you're starting to shift society. Are you shifting society when you're hiding and doing good? You're creating solutions, no doubt about it, but are you shifting society? Are you shifting the behavior of society, I should say?
You bring up a really interesting piece that resonates for me right now. Having just completed a solo show, that the whole piece of it is impact, right? It's starting a ripple. And so I have my own process as a creative, I have my own process as a performer, but this third process, the releasing of that piece, the releasing of that impact, the actual sharing it, not just to my people, and not just to my followers, but actually releasing it beyond my control. That's the language I've been kind of coming up to, has brought up something. I'm not even sure where I'm going with this, but it feels like it has brought up something that you and I have talked a lot about what is it about people, women specifically, but I'm not going to say that men don't do this, because I don't know I could say it, I'm not sure, but certainly women. What is it about women where we get frustrated? We're like, does she have any idea how brilliant she is? Does she have any idea the gifting inside of her that the world would gratefully receive? Does she have any idea if she would just stop what you call doing the busy work, or what I have called setting up the Barbies, and like play with the damn Barbies already? Like, play with them. Bring in the whole neighborhood to play with the Barbies. And so when we've talked about that, and I can say from my own experience, having honestly created the best work I've ever created in my life, where I showed up at 100%, I didn't even know it was possible. And the big aha that happened for me was, beyond sharing is letting it go where it doesn't belong to me anymore. And I already know that it's not about me anymore, but letting it go where the world actually owns it and not me, it brought up control issues for me. I'm like, Overbury, you have some control issues here. What is this? Is this safety? Is it not wanting to be misunderstood? Is it not wanting to offend? Is it not about me at all? Am I taking care of people because I don't want to offend them? The thing I'm trying to point to is that what came up for me is around this word release. And I want to come back to impact champions and impact media, that one of the great things about media is that it doesn't belong to you, that you create media and then it goes out there, and you're not at the mic. Like, the world owns the media now. I just wonder if that takes you anywhere around your noticings of letting it go, for heaven's sake, Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It brings up a few things. I mean, the first piece that it brought up was, it's you've heard me say this, but it's not about you. It's not about me. It's not about us. It's not about us. And in fact, what I wrote down as you were talking was, your highest gifting, what I call the 100%, your highest gifting doesn't belong to you. So if you truly believe, which I know you do, that we are all interconnected beings here for an experience in this lifetime, when we find and bring out our highest gifting, it's for us. It's for the interconnected mass that is us. It's for all of us in all our relations. So when you hear me or you in frustration, like you said, like get on with it. How did we get to be so insular? Like, how did we get to be like the release that you're talking about? And I think when you experienced it, it probably felt pretty good because it really is natural. It's natural because you're recognizing and feeling like this, oh, I get it. This is not about me. This is for us. This is for all of us. And I know for myself that when that clicked for me, when that puzzle piece dropped, and I started to think about acting on behalf of the collective us, acting on behalf of my braid, my team, powerhouse, Indigenous women, like whatever that army of, whatever gets you going, things felt lighter and energized. That I could certainly see the release. I got out of my own way, but it also did come with a sense of responsibility, right? Like you are acting. We deserve all of you. So how dare insular you not give it all? Like that doesn't make any sense because we deserve all of you. So whatever it's going to take to crack that egg and get out of your own way, like get on with it. How long is it going to take? Because the collective we deserve all of us bringing the very best of us to any situation. And what gets me excited about impact media is I feel like if I can work with those ready to show that, then that's going to become the norm. Because as you've heard me say before, humans are operating at, 15% of what I believe we're fully capable of if we would let us play at our highest potential for our collective greatest good.
And I will say amen to that. Having just like walked through it, and like, whoa, because there is this. I would imagine when I think about film. Well, you as a film producer, right? I imagine you accepting your Academy Award, accepting your Screen Guild, whatever award for impact producing. And it's that moment where, yes, the art is recognized, but more than anything, the impact is released in the world. And the freedom, like it's almost like the wind comes in, whoosh, it is out there. It's out there. And it from my lens, from Core Story, it's like the story knocked, you answered, you served it, and then you actually like let it go. And it's out there doing what it wanted you to do for it, which was let me free in the world so I can go and serve, right? The story gets to serve. You have this saying about money left on the table. And I wonder if you can share with us what that means to you about like the direction of impact media. What is that money and what are you talking about?
Well, I definitely think that we're leaving money on the table if the game that we're playing is to shift society by what we're consuming through media every day. If you really do believe that what we put our attention on ends up affecting our behavior, which I believe it does, right? That's why we feel so great when we're on vacation. That's why we feel so shitty when we're stuck in traffic. So if we want our behaviors to elevate, then let's elevate what we're paying attention to. And as someone that came from a financial services, investment services background, we know how to turn over all of the rocks to see who the players might be to put deals together. And the players in this game of impact media are obviously the impact champions, the artists of impact who are creating the work or solving with impact. They're the producers like me that are willing and ready and wanting to tell the story or to help it be told. And then we've limited where the money might come from in the past. And I'm saying there's a whole market. There's a whole market that wants to fuel this work. And that market is in advertising. The advertising industry is wanting to catch up with the social impact and the social innovation industry. They're looking for viable products and projects that are interesting and quality to give them a really clear how to do so. They're not going to, we have to give them the stepping stones. So I believe that the brands that are out there in the world, the brand specialists, the conscious advertisers, the marketing executives who are, doing their own work on themselves, they're at a tipping point and they want to invest in quality campaigns and quality projects. They have money to spend. They are no longer happy to create commercials about that schling their products and services like we've seen since the 1970s. We're beyond that as a society. However, our job in the world of impact is to give them the clear pathway, the clear stepping stones to really, really viable, interesting, quality campaigns, projects, creative opportunities where saying no just doesn't make sense, because their brand will be built, their customers will be happy, they'll be positioned as an impact champion, as a good guy, and they're literally helping to solve the world's problems, to elevate humanity. Like, I just don't see the downside. And the market that's currently being left on the table is over $250 billion US annually. $250 billion annually that can be used in impact media production for good.
There is the goodwill on the table, or the impact on the table, that is as high or exponentially higher than the stack of dollars on the table for the advertisers. What I love that term, conscious advertisers, for the advertisers and the brands that's just sitting there waiting for them to see their impact and more than that, their contribution. And I see the win-win here. Okay, the Ravens are going crazy, which is like, okay, we hear you, we know, we're onto something.
Yeah.
And then from a core story place of your language, it's the duh moment. It's like when something is so core, it's actually so out of alignment to not say yes. And I really think that the world's sitting right on that edge right now around decision making, which brings me to my last question to you. That might, for listeners, might go, how did we get here? But for you and I, we're like, well, this is the duh. This is the duh of this conversation, which is, you're an Indigenous woman. And I know that this year has been tremendously hard, the last few months. And I also know that you're grateful for the possibility of all the healing that can happen when the truth is now on the table and we're able to, it's undeniable. Duh, this happened. And so there's gratitude there for healing to happen. And I know that you care deeply about all of impact media for the world. And I know that that comes from that place of healing. And there's so much I could ask in here as an Indigenous woman, and from my lens, from a core story place, as well, we heard it this morning, Indigenous people are older than this country. And from that core place, there are answers. I wonder what you might want to share with us as an Indigenous woman with ancestral knowledge and waking up and all of that. And you're writing a screenplay that tells, like, you're in impact media from this core place, and what you might want to share with us about your journey. And I know this is its own conversation, but this is key to the impact media piece, because it's about coming home with our messaging. Where do you want to go?
It is about coming home. And I think where I would like to go is, I think at our very core as humans, we realize how far we've gone from our center. Like, I think when we let go of the distractions, I think we can all honestly agree that we're off kilter. And I feel like if we can tune into our heart, our soul, our, whatever your word is, we can appreciate that at our center, there's something that we've forgotten. There's something that we've I'm not going to say lost, but that we've forgotten, and we've gone a bit off track, and hence the coming home. I think what pulls me to impact media so strongly is that ultimately I'm an optimist. Ultimately, I'm the visionary, and I know it's in there for most people. And with enough little clues, enough little hits, enough little reminders, enough little insights, I do believe as a society, we can come back on track and we can come home. And I think the power of what we see every day can lead us there. Don't forget who you really are. Don't forget who you really are. Just little tiny hits of communication and conversation. And it would be inevitable. I want to make it inevitable that as a society, we come back together. We come back to that remembering of why we're here in the first place. We don't need to get in a rocket ship and go somewhere else. We need to go deep inside and with gratitude, remember why we're here and that we're all connected. And I think that that's the power that I believe Indigenous peoples, we're storytellers. And there's a reason that stories are passed down from generation to generation. It's so we don't forget who we are and where we've come from and what we believe and what we value. So why wouldn't we, as being older than, we heard a great quote this morning, being older than the country we're even from, like, why wouldn't we return to that to lift society?
I have two phrases that come to mind. One is, duh. And the other one is that Indigenous people are the original impact champions.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a beautiful place to end.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for your time and your commitment and conviction to changing the narrative and reminding us to remember who we are. That was Charlene SanJenko, near and dear friend, colleague in Powerhouse Impact Media Group, and the impact media producer of Oh My God, my solo show about the women we burned, the babies we buried, and the gods we have worshipped. If impact media has grabbed your heart, if you are one of those conscious advertisers, reach out to us here and I'll make sure that we connect you with Charlene. And of course, you can go to herhouse.com to reach her directly. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for listening. Thanks for moving all of this story of us forward. I'm Tina O, and this is Stories from the Core.